over time, I've realized that default responses are just simply the easy way, and it's the lazy way to get through life. Not lazy as in you're a lazy bastard, like you're lazy. It's lazy because it's simple. That's what I mean by lazy, right? So living a life by design is where you actually search for the answers. So when somebody asks you what lights you up, you instantly say, I don't know. Again, you become aware of that. Okay, I just gave a default response. The next question is, if I did know, what would the answer be?
Welcome back to the Open Up podcast and to my man, Toni Versic. Thank you for doing this, man. Round 2. I think you were episode number 40, about a year ago.
So. Yeah, it was about a year ago, man. It's been a little while. What's up, guys? I'm glad to be back. I'm fucking pumped for today's call, man, for today's podcast.
Straight off the bat, I know I asked you this last time and you thought it was a loaded question. Yep. But I know it's been a year of growth for you, so I'm interested to know what the answer is. Could you describe the way that you view yourself as a man and or human?
Absolutely. So the way I view myself is a work in progress. And recently, with all the lessons I've been learning, I'm a work in progress that's working on becoming empowered in every way, shape, and form. And by becoming that empowered version of myself, the empowered man, my vision or what I see of myself or what I see of myself doing is empowering every single person around me. That's nice. The way I see myself. And it just becomes so crystal clear. Last year, when you asked me that, I was helping people, I was coaching, I was doing well, but I had no fucking clue who I really was and what I was here to do. Now, the empowered man. So that's a lot less loaded when you actually understand it. Yeah.
And so can you actually first, that word empowered or empowering men, can you, I guess, define how you view that word for us?
Absolutely. I want to preface it by saying it doesn't matter if you're a man or woman. The principles that I'm going to share today are exactly the same, but I work specifically with men because I've seen a gap in the market. I've seen a gap for men. Men, 3/4 of suicides are men. Men are struggling. For me, being an empowered man and empowering men, it's simple. There's 2 states you can live in life. You can be disempowered or empowered. You can think, feel, you can take actions or not take action. And every single thought, feeling, action, inaction, reaction either empowers you or disempowers you. That's the simple way to put life forward. That's how it happens. You're empowered or disempowered. So for me, I've realized through my pain, through working with so many men and women, that we are either empowered or disempowered. And to be empowered means you're in control. It means that regardless of what happens to you in life, the circumstances, the things that fuck you up, that hurt you, you can take control. You can own it. You can grow from it. You can learn from it. You can get through. Being empowered simply means that you can take on life because life is hard. Life is challenging and it's getting harder every single year. So for me, being empowered, being able to tackle life, being able to enjoy life and being able to, on the timeline of your life, reach the end, living fulfilled, living happy, living with power and purpose. That's the empowered man. That's what it means to be empowered.
I love that. Before we started this, you asked whether we should talk over what we're going to talk about. I said, no, we can talk out of our ass. And that is proof. I love it, bro. I love the fire. I love the passion. Yeah. I love that enthusiasm. What I wanted to get to was the empowered man.
Yes.
And the transition to that.
Absolutely. So in the first episode, we talked about my story and my journey. I don't want to go too much into that today, but I do have something that's sort of transitioned from that. I mean, I went through pain, anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts, severe drug addiction, lack of confidence. And through that, I became a coach. I started coaching men and women. Then I transitioned just into men. And I realized that through coaching these men, that they wanted to lose weight. That's what I initially started doing. I was a personal trainer, lift weights, eat better. And I quickly realized there was so much more to it than just nutrition. So I started becoming this online coach. I started leading Australia and New Zealand. The last 3 years, we've been helping thousands of men. And I felt misaligned the last 3 years. I really felt misaligned because I was helping people, but the message I was putting out there was what I thought men wanted to hear. Lose weight. It'll make you happy. Get fit, get healthy. And obviously that's important. But the transition for me really went from, okay, it's not just about the way you look. It's not just about the way you feel. It's not just about the way you think. It's everything. It's everything. And I was misaligned the last 6 months, man. Like I've had some severe health issues that I'll probably get into later, but it came to me about 3 weeks ago and I just decided to go all in. I've been coaching for 3 years. This is the same coaching I do. It's a different message now. The empowered man just resonated with me so much because when we are the empowered man, nothing phases us. So that was the transition for me. And ever since that, the health issues have gone away, which is crazy. But the transition was very painful because I was scared to let go of what I was doing previously, which was helping people, making me money, making an impact. But this is what I truly wanted. So that was the transition, if that's what you asked. I don't know if I'm going off on a tangent here.
No, that's awesome, bro. How do you, like, obviously you're in a position where you're financially stable, you're doing something that you genuinely love or like, you're helping people. How do you then give yourself permission to burn the boats and turn your business into the empowered man and follow that? Because a lot of people would get stuck in, no, this is safe, this is stable, this is where I should stay.
Yes.
Not too many people can give themselves permission to chase what they want.
Amazing. And the reality is I couldn't either. I spent the last 6 months in a state of depression. I'm a coach. I coach men who are depressed, anxious, suicidal, going through addiction and divorce. And I fucking changed their life within a matter of weeks. I've not met one man who we haven't been able to help. Not one. And the last 6 months, I felt like an imposter because behind the scenes, I'd be having a panic attack walking down the road. I'd look normal, but inside I was panicking. You know, the panic attack, that was happening internally because I wasn't burning the boats, because I was afraid to do what I wanted to do in life. So it took me 6 months of pain. It took me 6 months of struggle, severe chest pain to the point of it felt like heart attacks, thousands of dollars on scans. I wasn't ready. I was afraid, just like many people listening, because we live our lives in fear. False evidence appearing real. I created a story in my head that I couldn't do this, that it was too hard, that I'd fail, even though I knew in my heart that it was what I needed and wanted to do and what I get to do for a living. 3 weeks ago when I burnt the boats, it was still fucking terrifying. It's still terrifying now. I turned off a $500,000 a year business. I turned it off, bro. I haven't brought on any revenue in 2 months because I've been building this new movement where we're going to tour around Australia and New Zealand for free, coaching men. I turned off $500,000. I'm terrified. I'm getting married in a month. I'm terrified.
But it's giving me some very, very bad anxiety.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But do you know what's crazy is, yes, I lived in fear for 6 months. And this is the crazy part. It took a split second. That was me clicking my fingers. If you're listening, it took a split second to make the decision. It took a lot of journaling, a lot of asking questions, a lot of doubt, but a split second was what it took. And once I made that decision, the anxiety, the fear, the pain, I had physical pain all throughout my body. No doctor could tell me what was wrong. It all disappeared. And this is why, bro. Because emotion is just energy in motion. And what happened to me over the last 6 months, like everyone listening right now, because we've all done this, is I held on to that fucking emotion that wanted to come out, that passion, that fire that you hear right now, that was stuck for 6 months. And that energy wasn't in motion. It was stuck in my body and my physiology, and it was breaking me the fuck down. And as soon as I made that decision, you ask how? It took 6 months. It didn't happen overnight, but it took a split second. And I listened to my fucking gut, and I trusted myself, and I backed myself. And I don't know if I made the right decision, but I do know that we're going to help people on a scale that we never have before.
All right. So you said you turned off the business that was making $500,000 a year.
Yep.
How do you pitch that to your partner? And were there any issues?
Yeah, she backs me 100%, because I feel like if you're in a loving relationship, she could see what happened to me the last 6 months. I became a shell of the man that I was last time we chatted. I became afraid. There was one time I was walking down the street and I had to grab her hand because I was so afraid. Like I was afraid I was going to just drop dead or something bad was going to happen. We were walking back to our house and I said, "Can I please hold on to you?" That's when I knew it was really bad. So she saw that side of me the last 6 months. And in seeing that, she saw the shift once I made the decision. It wasn't like, "Babe, I'm going to do this. You're not a part of it. Screw you. I'm doing it no matter what." It was like, "Hey, babe, I've come to a conclusion about how I'm going to actually do what I want to do and how I'm going to support you and how I'm going to support the men of Australia and New Zealand." And that the way I communicated it, she just knew that it was the right thing. She could see it. She could feel it. And I think that goes to speak for anyone listening right now who is stuck on making a decision, who is living in fear, that once you actually make that decision, it's going to liberate you, and everyone you love and care about is going to see that in you. It's like you can feel it. It's a feeling. It's a sense. So I think for her, man, like she could see it right away. She wasn't afraid. Obviously, she's a little bit scared financially, but at the end of the day, she backs me because I back myself.
That's awesome, man. And I love the fact that you're backing yourself. Like, you validated the fact that you can change people, that you can help people, and that you're worthy of, I guess, having financial return as a result of it. And perhaps. I guess, no, definitely.
Perhaps, but this is the thing, right? So this is the second piece to your question. If it doesn't work out, I can go back and live with my parents in New Zealand. Yep. I can move country. I can become a cleaner. At the end of the day, no matter what happens, there's always going to be a solution, and then I can start again. It is going to work out. I know for a fact. We've already had people, we've had 20 guys register for our first event. We haven't launched it yet. It's insane. And we're going to have about 180 at our second event, free event in Adelaide. So it is going to work out, but if it doesn't, so what?
Yeah. And I think that's the attitude that differentiates people who make it and people who don't. Mm. It's not caring about what people think of you if you fail. Like if you fail, yeah, so what? You're going to learn that what you did or the steps you followed to try and achieve that goal didn't work out. So you can just iterate and test again. And like you said, you can go back to living with your parents. And that's something that Tim Ferriss talks about. I think it's Stoic philosophy or something like that. And he eats, I guess, limited beans and sleeps on the floor just to know what it's like to be at rock bottom if he ever lost his business and lost all the money that he's accumulated over the years.
Yeah,
it's just the same for you. Like if you had to go back to your parents, like, so what? You still have a roof over your head, and you still have the potential over the coming decades to get back to the position you were in.
Exactly. And that's the reality. And the cool thing is no one has to go to the extremes of Tim. You know, the reality is this, and this is the theme for what we do, is like empowered or disempowered. It's all about actually getting to the truth of where you are in life. If you're living in fear of making a decision that's challenging, understand that that's normal. And if you didn't have that fear, you'd go and gamble every single day. You'd have this optimism about life that's not real, and you'd fail miserably. So you need a bit of fear. It keeps you in check. But understanding that whenever you are experiencing any negative state, whether it's fear, whether it's doubt, whether it's anxiety, depression, stress, anger, a lack of self-love, it just comes down to questioning it, not believing it. So for me, for 6 months, I didn't just listen to the fear. I fucking questioned it every single day, and I didn't find the right answers for 6 months, but I never stopped questioning it. And if you question those negative emotions enough, fear is a big one, man, but it is false evidence appearing real. Most of the time, fear is just made up in our head. We know that. But it's easy for me to say that on a podcast. It's easy for you to believe it, and it's easy for people to hear it. But then how can we actually give them something to do instead of believing? Question it. So I question the fear. Okay, cool. Like, is that really true? Is that an empowering belief that I have around fear? Or is it disempowering me? Okay, it's disempowering me. Okay, cool. So what's a more empowering belief? What are the other options? Yes, I could fail. That is what I'm attached to right now. That's what I'm focusing on. But I could also succeed. I could also make the same amount that I was before. I can make a little bit less. Well, how much do I need to make to survive? And I start asking more powerful questions. And now it's not based in fear and ambiguity. It's based in certainty. Like you and I talked earlier about having children and doing the scans and being uncertain about what's going to happen. Uncertainty causes fear. So when you're living in fear, find more certainty. Kill that fucking fear.
That's awesome, man. Do you have an idea of what belief was limiting you or holding you back from making that decision?
Absolutely. 100%. I know the exact belief. I became successful selling fat loss.
Okay.
I was helping people. Okay. So for me, selling isn't a negative thing. I was providing a solution to people who were depressed and overweight. So I was working with depressed, overweight men, and they'd hire me for my services. I gave out a lot of free stuff. Only once they'd done the free stuff, they'd sign up if they wanted to. I became successful doing that, and I was afraid to do it a different way. I don't give a shit if you're overweight or not. That doesn't mean anything to me, and it shouldn't mean anything to anyone. If you're happy and healthy, by all means, live your life. I was afraid to put out a message that wasn't fat loss because I wasn't sure if it would work or not. Like, think about it. When do you hear the words men's empowerment?
Yeah.
Doesn't really go out much into the news or the media or anywhere. I know that I was creating something that hasn't really been done. And for me, that was terrifying because I was like, will it work? It probably won't. And I created a story in my head. So for me, that's where the belief came from. It was like, this isn't going to work because no one knows what I'm talking about. What is men's empowerment? Snowball of fucking stories.
Well, awareness, brother.
Yeah.
So much awareness.
Yeah, slowly getting there.
With this free tour.
Yep.
Could you give me a rundown of what's happening with the tour and why it's free?
Amazing. So first of all, what's happening with the tour? I'm getting married on the 7th of February. 6 days before that, we're doing our second live event. 5 days after that, we're doing another live event. And Rosie understands why this is so important because the world needs this. Australia and New Zealand men need it. So every 2 weeks for the first 3 to 6 months of the year, we're going to be traveling into the major cities of Australia and New Zealand. And we're going to do a 6-hour workshop for specifically men, only men, no women allowed. Not because we've got anything against women, because we want to stand for men. When we empower these men, they're going to become better men for the women or men in their lives. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking our formula, which I've developed over the last 3 years, which literally shows you no matter what problem you're going through, sexual abuse as a child, okay, or now, bullying, not having your dad around, a lack of self-love, a lack of self-belief, whatever your problem is, it does not matter. In 6 hours, we're going to provide these men with the tools and the awareness and the roadmap to get from where they are now, pain, into where they want to be, power. The empowered man, turn your pain into power. That's what we are about. Turn your pain into power. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at their pain, giving them awareness around it, getting them to understand what's causing it, getting them to understand that that's not who they are, it's not their identity, and then giving them a roadmap to that power, to turning their pain into their greatest gift. That's what we're doing here. And the reason that it's free is because, quite frankly, men need this, and men need to get into a safe space where they can share, where they can be vulnerable, where they can take the mask off. And I'm not willing to charge for that right off the bat because I need to build trust. So it's very easy to show up to something for free, right? Now, at the end of these events, we don't sell anything, by the way. We don't sell anything. We offer the opportunity to book a free coaching session with my team and I. And then if people are keen to know more about our programs, we sit down, we coach them for half an hour to an hour. And then if they're keen, we tell them about the program. That way of running a business for me, again, it's terrifying because we're not doing it for the money, which means maybe Rosie and I won't be able to have a honeymoon. She is upset about that, but she understands why it's so important because this is the best way to get these men to come and share that sacred space. And then from there, I guarantee quite a few are going to join the movement because they're going to see the value in those 6 hours.
Yeah. And I think why I asked about it being free is because what I've seen, like we've done the FIFO Mental Health Summit in Perth and in Brisbane, which like off the back of that has brought us contracts with Woodside and Rio Tinto.
Of course.
You know, and we had no credibility going into those FIFO mental health summits, none at all in the mining industry. And because we made that event free, because we said, hey, we're going to give you an abundance of knowledge and information for free, that built the trust and that built the credibility and gave us some sense of authority. Not only does it do that, the fact that it's free generates a whole lot of attention, a whole lot of awareness, a whole lot of interest. And then you slowly drag in more people who become more interested because you are doing something that is seen to be in the best interest of society for free, which isn't the usual, which is like so far out of the norm at the moment.
Absolutely. And if you think about it, like what you guys did for the FIFO industry, you just offered an immense amount of value. Like if you think about it, time and money are forms of value. People are listening to this podcast and they're literally giving you their time, which is their most valuable asset because you're giving them value through your voice. So when we actually go out there and we share this message for free, what we're doing is we're exchanging value. And this is my mission and my vision, and it's going to happen in those 6 hours, bro. We're going to give more value than any seminar these guys have paid for. Any audiobook or course, any Tony Robbins stuff. Like I love the guy, but anything they've done, I guarantee for the guys, they're going to get more value for free than they've ever got for anything they've paid for. The thing is though, and this is the problem, people get really upset in the mental health space when you charge for stuff, as if everyone should just work for free, right? So we want to offer a ton of value, and we will. And then if people want to hire us, then they hire us. And if they don't, great. They're going to get more value than they've ever had. So cool. Awesome. So I think free is really important in what we're doing, man. It might change in the future. I don't know, but I want to just give value next year. That's the mission, man. Value and building a community in every major city of empowered men, like 50 to 100 men meeting up once a month, empowering each other, not the boys having beers and giving each other shit, right?
Yeah.
Actually like empowering each other. And that's the vision, man. And the crazy thing is, right, you're doing Rio Tinto, you're helping the FIFO industry. You're helping, let's say 100 men in the FIFO industry at a seminar or event. That's going to ripple into 10,000. Guaranteed. When you empower one man, he empowers 100 of his colleagues, his friends, his family, his loved ones. Guaranteed. So that's the grand vision. I used to think when I was younger, I'm going to help millions of people. I'm not going to. I'm going to help a couple of thousand people, but that ripple effect is going to help millions.
That's powerful. That's awesome, man.
I hope so.
How many events have you got altogether in the works for 2020?
Honestly, man, we've just scheduled the first 3 months. We're doing one every 2 weeks. So in the first 3 months of the year, we're doing, 14? We're doing 6 events. And then from there, we're probably going to do 6 to 10 in the second quarter. And then we're just going to go all in for the last half of the year. So it's going to be a very intensive schedule. However, I want to just bring this out to everyone as quickly as possible. Like Aussie and Kiwi men need to hear this, man. Anyone going through pain, any man going through pain, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, they don't know how to transmute it into power. So it needs to be out there ASAP.
So with that, because that's an audacious goal. It's a big goal, and it's one that's necessary at the moment, especially for men in Australia and New Zealand. As a result of those, I guess, how many men are taking their lives at the moment.
Yes.
Being that the goal is so big, how are you dealing with overwhelm, self-sabotage, and doubters, if there are any?
This is a great question. It happened yesterday. So the last 4 days, I've worked about 48 hours on top of cooking and cleaning. My fiance works long hours, so I've been supporting her and my dog, walking her every day, working out. It's been a really intensive time. And I had some challenges come up yesterday that completely threw me back 4 days. And in the past, it's all about awareness. In the past, I would have blown up. I would have punched through the wall. I would have been upset or triggered. But I just kept asking myself that question. Am I empowered right now? Or am I disempowered? Like it sounds simplistic, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You're in a struggle. You're doubting yourself. You're overwhelmed. And instead of just believing that story, you ask yourself, am I empowered or disempowered? Okay, I'm noticing myself be disempowered right now. So when I feel that overwhelm, when I feel that doubt, when people tell me I'm going to fail, subconsciously, without thinking, it happens like driving. I get triggered. I get upset. I have a negative emotion come up. It's all subconscious. By becoming more and more over practice and time aware of the subconscious problem, the subconscious thought, the subconscious pain or lack of action or action that's hurting me, by becoming aware of it and making it conscious and then changing it into something that empowers me through learning from it, through growing from it, then the problem becomes the power. The problem becomes the good thing. The problem becomes the growth. Does that make sense? So
yeah,
I don't do it all the time. No one does. But just getting faster and faster at identifying the problem, just like you and I talked about before, you're getting faster and faster, identifying it, and then transmuting it, changing it, choosing consciously to shift the meaning. It's literally like a superpower. Like it's a superpower. And it doesn't happen all the time, but the more often you do it, the easier it gets. It's like driving a car. You get in a car, you have no fucking idea what you're doing. It takes a long time to learn. I just drove all the way across Sydney. Halfway through, I'm like, shit, I'm not paying attention to the road because it happens without thinking. For most of us, negative emotion is exactly the same. Self-doubt, fear, all these things that you ask me, what am I experiencing? How do I deal with them? They happen subconsciously. I consciously shift them through asking the powerful questions and shifting my mindset.
Yeah. Specifically, how do you, obviously you're someone who has had a big platform for a while. You've got content that's, I guess, confronting to some men. It's very out there. It's very, I guess, for lack of a better word, aggressive. If you can find a better word, let me know. But it's aggressive in the way that you approach your content, or the way that you curate the content is aggressive and can be seen that way, I guess, by some. How do you specifically take on doubters or hate, for lack of a better word, and then transmute that as someone with a platform, as someone who is helping men?
Yeah. I think if you live on the internet, no matter what you do, you're going to experience hate. It's a platform. And I know for a fact that anyone who's sharing hate towards what I do needs help. And I've got two options. I can take that on board and I can let it bring me down, or I can use it as fuel to put out more content that's going to help more people. You know, people are going to look at any content you and I put out there, and you could have the exact same piece of content that is designed from the heart, that is designed to help, and somebody can see it as aggressive and another person can see it as something that's going to save their life that day. It's just the world we live in. We're so connected, but we're so disconnected. So everyone's going to look at it differently. For me, when I get that, which is all the time, people are going to listen to this and go, what the fuck does this guy know what he's talking about? It's fuel, man. It's fuel to help more people, you know? And it's very hard for somebody listening right now to go, okay, well, that sounds way too simplistic. Like it's easy to do that. The reality is people in life are always going to judge what you do, no matter how good your intentions are. But there's always going to be people who judge it in a positive way. Yeah. So I think shifting the focus to them, for me, that's massive, you know?
I think it's important to talk about that because, like, no matter how many times I talk about it to, various different people from different backgrounds with different skill sets, it always comes back to the same thing, that the people who are sending you hate or doubt have issues that they need to deal with. And the best way is to send them love and compassion, and then use that as fuel, if you feel comfortable doing so, to spur you on and to help more people. So I love the fact that you, I guess, resonated with that, or come up with the same answer as well, man. I love it.
Yeah. It's practice as well, bro. So like if you've spent 20, 30, 40 years responding negatively to criticism or hate in your life, or being put down, or what someone thinks of you, it's not going to happen overnight that you instantly go, okay, this is fuel, this is great. But again, it's awareness. So you are aware that somebody has said something against you. You're aware that you're triggered through self-exploration, and you're aware that you reacted negatively. The next time it happens, you react a little bit better and a little bit better, and you practice and practice until it becomes the new normal for you. It's very difficult to change, you know, to think like this. I didn't think like this my whole life. The same as you, brother. You're getting much better at dealing with it because of practice.
Yeah.
So it's just about practicing it and shifting the meaning of it.
Are you comfortable talking about what's happened over the last week or so?
In terms of the ads and stuff that I talked to you about? Yeah, absolutely.
Just because I feel like that's for someone who has a business, who does most of its revenue from being on social media.
Yeah.
Like this would cause a lot of people with a lot of anxiety.
Yeah, of course. So like I said, 2 months ago, we turned everything off in terms of how we make money in my company. So we still help 129 men. Right now, as of now, we've got 129 men that we're coaching through our online platform. But in terms of bringing new business in, we haven't done any, right? So we're probably, you know, and I'm happy to share how much our company made, because I don't think that should be secret. Most of it went back into the business, but we're about $80,000 down, and I don't have much savings. I've got enough to support Rosie and I for about 2 months. Okay. She just came home, so she can hear this. The last month, when I wanted to launch the Empowered Man, Facebook shut down all of our advertising. So we literally couldn't put out our message into the world. We got blocked on every platform. I couldn't create any new accounts. So I couldn't actually make any money, even if I wanted to. So I turned everything off. Then when I tried to turn it on, it couldn't work. This week, I've put about 48 hours and 4 days. I've worked nonstop, like I said, to fix the problems. And I finally got everything sorted. I created a new account. I launched the advertising, which is for the free events. It was going amazing. We had about 20 guys register, like I said, for crazy amounts. It was crazy. And yesterday morning, Facebook blocked our brand new website, which has about 20 reviews from men who are saying how much it's saved their life, how much it's impacted them, saved their relationships, got them off ice. It's amazing. they blocked the website. So every link that we have ever had for the Empowered Man got deleted off of Facebook. All the advertising got deleted. So that happened yesterday morning, and I looked at that and I was like, okay, shit, this is not good. But I think because I was so passionate, I had something that lit me up. We all need that in life. You need something that lights you up. You must have that in life. We'll probably get into how do you do that.
Yeah.
Because that lit me up, I was like, I'll find a solution. So I spent another 8 hours yesterday finding a solution, got everything up, got it fixed, made some workarounds. And then in the evening, the third account, which was being used under another name, got deleted. So it just kept happening. And the third time it happened, I just looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, okay, you've got two options right now. You can lose your shit because right now you don't have any money. You don't have any revenue. You're not going to be able to help anyone. You're not going to be able to make an impact and just create these stories. Or you could just realize that you're in the exact same position you were in a month ago. Nothing's changed except your expectation of where you should be in life. And I had this conversation with myself in the mirror, like a fucking weirdo, talking to myself. And I just went, you know what? What's the solution? What can I do right now that's going to empower me? I meditated and I got back to work. And this morning it's all fixed. Fingers crossed, it lasts. But in that moment, and in every moment in my life, I've had so many times where I went the other way.
Yeah.
You know, something bad happened. I'd spend a week in isolation. I'd be drinking, I'd take some drugs, feel a bit better, and I just ignore the problem. Yesterday, I didn't ignore the problem. And again, practice. It didn't happen overnight, man. Like this is literally a 6-month journey for me, but it's a 7-year journey, really. But the last 6 months, I wouldn't have reacted like that. I think having this thing that lights me up, the Empowered Man, and seeing how many lives it's changed already, that's what lights me up.
Taking empowered action, brother. So you mentioned finding something that lights you up. Shoot. Tell me how. Give me the secret.
How does one do this? How does one do this? Practice. Imperfect practice. And asking very powerful questions. If I asked you or any of the listeners or viewers right now, what lights you up? What is the thing that you're so passionate about that you'll do anything for it? Do you know what the number one response will be? I don't know. Number one response. Now, I don't know is a response that is called a default response. We have two ways to live life. Empowered, disempowered. We have another two ways, default or design. In life, throughout my entire life, I've been living by default. So when I was addicted to drugs, for me, I would say, I don't know how to quit. This is too hard. Default answer. Just the easiest thing to say. It came out like that, like rocket fire. What lights you up? I don't know. Rocket fire. You don't think about it. It's instant. Throughout my life, I lived like that. In my relationship, when my relationship broke down, I'm never going to find love again. Default response. Instant. Didn't think about it. Over time, I've realized that default responses are just simply the easy way, and it's the lazy way to get through life. Not lazy as in you're a lazy bastard, like you're lazy. It's lazy because it's simple. That's what I mean by lazy, right? So living a life by design is where you actually search for the answers. So when somebody asks you what lights you up, you instantly say, I don't know. Again, you become aware of that. Okay, I just gave a default response. The next question is, if I did know, what would the answer be?
That's a powerful question.
Do you know how many people we coach at our live events and we get them up on stage and we're like, dude, like, what's the biggest thing holding you back right now? I don't know. I completely get that you don't know, brother. I could see why you wouldn't. But if you did know, what would the answer be? Oh, you know, I think I'm just not loving myself. It just comes out instantly, instantly. And you can do it 3 or 4 times. I don't know. Okay, but if you didn't know, okay, but I'm sure that you don't know. And if you did, what would the answer be? Oh, okay. People get it right away. So how do you find your purpose, something that lights you up? By actually searching for it and by not giving default answers. If you ask yourself a question, your brain will always give you an answer instantly. Often it's a default answer and it's not the truth. We lie to ourselves. So by shifting the default answer and choosing an answer by design, okay, if I did know, what would the answer be? Well, I don't know. Okay, you just said that, but if you did know, you get a pen and paper out and you keep asking, guess what? You're going to find an answer.
That's
so you persist.
Awesome.
You persist. You fucking persist.
I love it. And I know for myself, I don't know is usually a defense mechanism designed to keep me safe and comfortable. Because someone's usually asking me a question that's delving into something that I don't really want to open up.
Absolutely.
So
and why don't you want to open it up?
Because I wasn't willing to face it. So I went through that with counseling a lot. I don't know was like my default answer. And I remember about 5 minutes in, she goes, stop. Stop. you've said, I don't know, about 5 times already.
Yeah.
Let's think about it. It's like, oh shit, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't want to talk about this. And I know for a lot of people that'd be the same case as well.
Absolutely. And do you know why they don't want to talk about it? Because I get this. I didn't want to deal with my problems either, because it's fucking hard, guys. It is hard to do this. Let's make no illusions to the fact that this journey of living empowered, and living empowered means happy, fulfilled, full of love, loving and loved. That's empowered, right? That journey's not easy. It's much easier to ignore the problem. However, ignoring the problem is designed to keep you comfortable, correct? Now, when you ignore the problem, are you comfortable?
No.
You're absolutely uncomfortable, but you pretend like you're comfortable. And then you go through that tiny discomfort. We can do it right now, bro. Everyone listening, fold your arms. Okay.
I'm gonna do this
and then,
too.
Awesome. Don't mess up your mic. Now fold them the other way.
Fuck. How do you do that?
How does that feel? How does that feel?
I think I just did it the same way.
Okay. But if you do it the other way right now, it feels uncomfortable. It feels weird. It feels strange. Like if folding your arms, which is the most harmless thing ever, and then doing it slightly differently is uncomfortable. For me, it makes me feel weird. I'm like, what the hell am I doing here? That's the same for shifting the way you think about things, shifting the meaning, for shifting the fear, facing the problem. It is uncomfortable. But that tiny discomfort you had, at the end of the day, if you do that, you're going to be able to do it a different way, which means you're going to empower yourself. It's so damn important. And I'm going off on tangents here, but this goes back into language, right? Language is so powerful. When you say, I don't know, you disempower yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all about tapping into the subconscious and bringing up the answers rather than turning to the default and just eliminating the possibility of actually finding an answer.
Absolutely. And understanding that after this podcast, I'm going to say I don't know multiple times. And so are you. And so is everyone listening. And it's just about becoming aware of it and then going, okay, maybe I do know. Or if I don't know, I don't have the answer right now. How could I find it? It's just about awareness. It's not about being a robot and leaving and going, okay, I know, I'm going to face my problems and I'm going to fix everything. No, it's not going to happen like that. It's not about being robotic. It's about being aware when you're disempowered and shifting that pain into power. And that starts with awareness, and it starts with actually moving forward.
That's awesome, man. One thing you brought up was the expectation of where you should be while you're going through that whole scenario with your account being blocked. What was if you had one, what was the expectation you had for your life?
In regards to when it was blocked?
No, in regards to like your purpose or what you'd be doing or where you'd be at by, say, 30 years old.
I thought that I wasn't into helping people when I was younger because I was so helpless. So when I was younger, I was into drugs, I was depressed, I was anxious, and I still thought at 25 I'd be a millionaire because I thought that's what makes you happy.
Yeah.
Fast forward to 25, I'm coaching people now, and I realize that that's not what I want. I don't care about the money. Otherwise, I would have kept my business on. At 30, I'm 28 now. The vision I had for myself is that I'm going around Australia and New Zealand coaching hundreds of men in a room, thousands. And then when that pain came in of like, that's not going to happen, the story came in, the default story, it was default. Oh, well, maybe I'm going to fail. Maybe this isn't going to work. It was a default story that came up right away for me. So that vision that I had was shattered in that split second, but it only lasted a split second. You know, I entertained it. It's like somebody comes over to your house and they knock on your door and you let them in. If you let them in, you've got to entertain them. You've got to feed them, give them tea, give them biscuits. And if they're a negative person, what happens to your environment? It shifts. We all have negative thoughts. We have 80,000 thoughts a day. They knock on our door. We don't let the door be opened. We don't let them in. And that's a very difficult thing to learn. It's something I'm still learning. I struggle with it sometimes, you know?
Because I know this is an issue for a lot of people. A lot of us live our lives, I guess, according to the imaginary timelines that we set for ourselves or that society or our family sets for us. How have those timelines impacted your life?
That's amazing.
The way that you've lived it.
That's an amazing question. This is what we're going to be teaching at the Empowered Man, the Pain into Power live workshop. Okay. There are a few different phases of life: birth, past, present, future, death. Now we all share this timeline, no matter who we are, no matter what the color of our skin is, no matter our experiences, good or bad, we all share this timeline. Now on that timeline, what most of us do and what I've done throughout my life, to answer your question, is I've lived in the past or the future. So I've lived in depression, thinking about the past of the things that happened to me, the fact that my dad wasn't there, the fact that I was never taught how to be a man, all these things that happened to me that broke me down, that hurt me, that ruined me. I lived there for a very long time. I just focus on it and it would make me so sad. Like I'd be sitting in my room just crying, thinking about the pain I went through. Then on the other side of the equation, in regards to what you asked, I'd be thinking about the future, about, is this going to work? Anxiety was huge for me. So much anxiety, so much fear that I was going to drop dead. I'd be living in the future. I couldn't live in my birth or my death because my death hadn't happened yet. And I didn't think about it that much, but my birth, it had happened. I was stuck in these 2 points of past and future. 80% of men live in the past. 80%. If you think about any problem that you have in your life right now, if you're listening, think about the problem that you have in your life. It's typically something that's happened to you before right now. Think about it. You're dwelling on something, you're hurt by something, someone. For many people, it's 36 years. 36 years of pain. 26 years, 25, doesn't matter. Or you're worried about the future. So for me, actually getting to a point where I could be present in the moment, let go of the expectation for the future, which is very difficult to do as an entrepreneur, very difficult to do when you want to help thousands of people. Let go of the expectation and let it be. And take all the pain from the past, all of it, every single painful moment from the past, and use it as growth and a lesson to empower myself. Now, if you don't have anything holding you back, which is your past, then you can move forward without worry, without fear, and without stories about what might happen. You can't, because everything that you're worried about in the future is based upon your experiences of the past. So that's something that we teach. We call it the hero's timeline. You heard about the hero's journey, Joseph Campbell. We have the hero's timeline, and it's all about becoming that hero of your own journey, right? Birth, past, present, future, death. We're all gonna fucking die. Letting go of the past, turning that pain into power, and looking forward to the future. So that's how I deal with it. I literally, every time I'm stuck in either of those places, the past or the future, I literally imagine I'm on the timeline and I face the direction I want to be in, and I turn my back on what's behind me. I do this, like I'll do it out on the street. If I'm really struggling and I can pick up on this, I'm aware of it, I'll literally turn like a weirdo.
That's cool, man. And like a really easy example of that is, I talk a lot about being radically honest, especially when I'm running late for meetings. If there is no real reason, if I've just got poor time management, I'll be radically honest, and I'll probably message or call and say, hey, there is no excuse for me being late. I just didn't manage my time properly. I'm sorry. I'll be there soon. And that negates having that worry about the past. Because if I would have just lied and said something like Kevin Hart about a deer, bro, you lie, you get there, you have this interaction, but then you're not present because you're anxious about them potentially finding out that you lied in the future.
Yep. And that's your body. Remember, emotion is energy in motion. You're just holding on to energy that you could have let out by being honest. That's amazing that you do that, bro. That's fucking amazing. It's
helped. And what I've realized is that people are just like, oh, that's so cool. Like, cool. Don't even worry about it. No stress.
Yep. Absolutely. And one thing that you've done there as well, bro, which many of us struggle with, is you've taken responsibility. The language.
Yeah.
I haven't managed my time well. Not allocate. That's empowering. That's empowerment. Even though you've not shown up on time, you've empowered yourself by taking responsibility. Whereas I was stuck in traffic, that's allocating responsibility. That disempowers you.
Yeah, that's awesome. I want to get to that soon, but there's one thing you said about your default story, and it's like, oh, okay, maybe I will fail. Is there a moment of impact or consecutive moments that have caused, I guess, that belief or that thought?
I failed at a lot of things in my life, as have we all.
Yeah.
You know, I remember being about 3 years old and walking on the rocks in Croatia where I was born. It's one of my earliest memories. And I fell down on some rocks by the beach house we had. And I cried, I banged up my knee, got some blood everywhere. And then I never fell down on those rocks again because I failed and I learned a lesson from it. So, yeah, I mean, if I dive deeper into it, bro, like it's all about, ask the question again, because I've sort of lost track.
So I think I probably should frame it a bit better.
You framed it well. Yeah.
You were talking about the period where you're going through that turmoil.
Yeah.
You hadn't quite made the decision.
The default story.
Yeah. And that's because that default story was, okay, maybe I will fail.
Yeah. So that was where the rock story was. So basically, like, I learned at that early age that failures were lessons, but at the same time, I was told by external sources, whether it was family, whether it was friends, I don't know, but throughout my life, I had imprinted in me that failure was bad. So like that rock period, I learned, and I got awareness at a very early age that when you fall, you can get back up. But by listening to others, by listening to society, social media, the world, I started believing a different story. And that story started becoming the default story. Even though I learned the lesson at 3 years old, I forgot what I already knew. So for me, the story was built up throughout my life. Like, I failed many times, as we all do. It is inevitable. And because of the meaning that others put on that failure, I started believing it for myself. And guess what? I'm going to fail many times in the next few years, guaranteed. And I'm not happy about that. Like, I don't enjoy that. But the default story has been there for a very long time, and it will continue to be there. Yeah. It becomes about questioning it, right? It's not like this is going to go away. Because I think it's normal to have that default story for failure. Yeah.
So another thing you touched on was the fact that you had this vision by 30, you're going to be all around Aussie and New Zealand, thousands of men. And then you had to let that go, which brought that default story up. How do you tackle your ego or relinquish the part of the ego that says, wait a minute, we've had this goal, we're going to be super fucking famous and help thousands of men?
That's a really good question. I mean, fame isn't something that I do. I don't want to be known. It's just unfortunate that with the way I coach, you and I, we have to put our face out there. I'd much rather be able to help people behind the scenes. The ego for me, man, is something that I've struggled with throughout my life, because not having a father figure around, I had to step up. I was always the show off at school, right? So I had to step up and lead myself by pretending to be this, strong man, even though I never was really. So for me, that was throughout my life. I thought I had to be someone. I thought I had to show up as someone. Then when I went through the suicidality, the breakup, the depression, the anxiety we talked about in the first one, I realized that I could get myself out of that. It took a long time. It was very painful. But then the mission then became, I need to share this with the people, because there's so many people out there struggling. And I became attached to that. Like, I need to, I must, I have to. And how I let go of that, I still haven't. Like, I still think that that's part of my journey and something I have to do. However, being able to detach from that as often as possible and understand that regardless of the outcome, if it's 1,000 men, if it's 500, or if it's 3 at that first event in Sydney on the 18th, all that matters is that I come from a place of love and that I'm in the moment. I'm not worried about how many show up. I'm not worried about what happened at the last one when I go to the next one. And this is all awareness. It takes time. It's very fucking hard for me to do. And just in that moment, be present and deliver what I know I can deliver. That's how I separate from the ego, is by living in the moment. And it's very difficult to do. I fail at it often. That's why I do things like meditate and journal, things that you teach, is because it brings me back to the moment, takes me away from the future, which is my ego, and the past, which is the death of the ego.
That's awesome, bro. Yeah. Do you have an ideal, I guess, set amount of years that you'd like to live?
I'd like to hit 100. I don't want to die. I went through an amazing psychedelic experience that completely eliminated my death anxiety. 11 years of death anxiety, completely gone. That was amazing. Now I'm not afraid of death, but I still don't want to die. So I want to live as long as possible, as healthy as possible. Yeah.
Awesome. And do you feel like the empowered man, I know we'll go through changes and cycles, but do you feel right now that the empowered man is something you'd want to do for the remainder of those years?
I highly doubt that I want to do it for the remainder, to be honest with you, because I want to experience as much of life as possible. So I think the empowered man is no longer me. Like, the old company was Toni Body, Toni Versic, the modern day King movement. It was all about me, where it isn't anymore. Yeah. The empowered man is you. It's me. It's my coaches. It's the people who come to our events. It's a movement. It's every single man who's on this journey. So for me, building this up, I don't have a time frame to a point where it's helping so many people and I can give that to our coaches who facilitate and I can step away. That's the dream, because then I don't have to be here to help. Then we can all help. Does that make sense? So that's the vision for me. I think long-term, I don't know what I want to do when I'm 35. I don't have that vision. I just know that I want to be empowered for the rest of my life. It's that simple for me. It's like, not what am I doing or how am I doing it? It's like, am I empowered? Am I not? Every single day. Am I empowered? Am I not? If I'm not, how am I going to fix it?
I love the honesty. I don't think there are too many people who could throw your sort of goals out there, have this transition from Tony Body, which was successful, turn off the revenue, go into Empowered Man, doing this free tour, and then say, hold on, in 7 or so years, I really don't know what I'm going to be doing. I think that just speaks volume as to the sort of person, man, human that you are, bro. That honesty is fucking beautiful, man.
Yeah, I mean, I guess everyone's different, right? And some people are like, I want to do this for the rest of my life. I don't know. I just know that I want to feel the way I feel now, and I want to empower myself and others. How I'm going to do that, I don't know.
All right, we'll get into some wrap-up questions, brother. Oh, no, I'm flicking this book and I don't even have the questions.
By the way, guys, if those of you that are listening to the podcast, I'd love to know, wherever you can comment or on Lockie's, Instagram or Facebook, I'd love to know what you guys think about some of the stuff we've talked about. I love to interact with you guys and hear your thoughts, positive or negative, because I know some of these ideas are really out there. When we can come together and communicate about this sort of stuff and share our opinions and our thoughts constructively, we all benefit, and I can learn so much from each and every one of you. So thank you for listening this far, and I'd love to hear from you guys.
I love it, bro. I know I asked you these questions already, episode 40, but again, I'd love to know the answer. Knowing everything that you've been through, knowing this transition, that 6 months of turmoil and finally burning the boats, what would you say the quality of your life is like now?
It's probably the best it's been in a very long time. And which is crazy, because in terms of things like resources and finances and security and safety, those things are less than they have been for 3 years. But I'm probably the happiest I've been in about 3 or 4 or 5 years of my life.
That's amazing, man. Over the last year, what have you added to your life or removed from it to improve that quality?
I've removed doing what I think others want, removed doing what I think others need, and doing what I think the world needs. I've really stepped into speaking from my heart. I talk about the empowered man. Every single man has a heart, and that's what this is all about, just coming from a place of love. Some masculine men might think that's airy-fairy. That's the truth of why we're all here. So just really adding and coming from a place of love. Removing vices, removed alcohol from my life. Now 4 weeks sober. Not that I was a big drinker previously, although I had some really serious issues with alcohol about a year ago. Removing alcohol, removing vices, removing things that I rely on, like coffee. And just adding in things that I can control, that I can take responsibility for, that I don't have to rely on. So basically that's been like the remove and adding process. Like anything that disempowers me, get rid of it as quickly as I can. Anything that empowers me, keep building on it, doubling down on it.
What's an example of something you've added that you can utilize but don't rely on?
That's a really, really good question. So meditation is like, I've added that in. It's a non-negotiable every day. I don't rely on it though. Like I don't have a stressful day and then I go, okay, I've got to meditate because it's going to fix it.
Okay.
So when I say rely on, I mean, because people do this with the gym. Like some people get addicted to the gym and it's actually a negative thing. So just anything that is disempowering you, in the sense of if you're on a desert island and you didn't have it, would you freak out or have a negative response?
Yeah. That's awesome, man. What are you most grateful for right now?
People like you and the feeling of love I get from people like my fiance, my clients, just love. Like I'm grateful for love, giving and receiving love.
That's awesome, man. It's a good answer. Last one, the same billboard question. If you had the chance to put a message on a billboard somewhere where thousands of people would see it every day, what would that message be?
What is disempowering me? What can I choose to take action on right now to empower me?
Nice.
If I could go back again, what will I choose to remove from my life right now that is disempowering me? The language is so important. What would I choose to remove from my life right now that's disempowering me? So that the language is so important. What will I choose to take action on right now to empower me?
That's fucking powerful, bro. I love it. Where can people find you on socials now?
Great question. So we've launched The Empowered Man, EMPOWERED, man. The logo is a yellow lion. There's a few of them out there, but our one's quickly growing. So The Empowered Man on Facebook, Toni Versic on YouTube. So TONIVERSIC. And on Instagram, I am Toni Versic. So I am TONIVERSIC.
I love it, bro. Thank you for reaching out. Thank you for making time for this. And thank you for bringing the fire like you always do. I've got no doubt you'll be doing exactly what you want to do, and you'll be achieving exactly what you want to achieve in regards to helping X amount of men in both Aussie and New Zealand.
Thank you so much, brother. I love you, man. And I'm really grateful that you've created this platform to help empower men and women all across the world.
Thank you, bro. Love you too.
Take care, guys.